welcome back to the PokerStrategy.com TSL number 3. We're here in series number 3, game number 3. GoOdy versus NesTea, both split 1-1 apiece. Here in the big, large map, Tal'Darim Altar, we've spawned cross positions. In the bottom left as a red Terran, we have ESC.GoOdy, his opponent from Korea. In the top right, as the teal Zerg, is IM.NesTea.
Amazingly, this is tied up here in game number 3. Now, one thing I want to mention about Tal'Darim Altar really quick is if GoOdy decides to go for that mech play again, don't know if he will because he's done that both games already. This map, you can sort of get your natural extremely easy by quickly walling off that natural with 3 or 4 buildings there. Don't know if he's going to do that against NesTea because if NesTea is aggressive, it can be difficult to hold it. But one nice thing, at least for mech play on this map, is that there's 2 expansions for the Zerg right outside their base. And the problem with mech is that it's so immobile that a Zerg tends to just expand all around the map. So if GoOdy can hit a timing where he can just sweep through and take out both those bases, maybe he can defeat NesTea. I don't know if he's going to do that again though, but that is something to look out for in this game. But again, tied up 1-1. I know we've said it 800 times, but it is just so impressive how good of a showing these foreigners are giving the Koreans, and especially someone like NesTea, who has, I believe, competed in nearly every single GSL and making it to the quarterfinals before. So that is no small feat at all, and definitely keep an eye on GoOdy. I'm curious to see what he has up his sleeve for game number 3.
Yeah, I definitely agree this isn't the most ideal map for mech. The problem comes from once you take your 3rd base, it's a little bit uncomfortable. Where are you going to take your 4th base? Well, GoOdy has the option to take 6 o'clock, but once he takes that, where's he going to continue to push? Meanwhile, every expansion that he wants to attack of NesTea outside of the original 3 is going to pull him in a different direction. The one experience I have with playing mech in StarCraft 2 as opposed to Brood War is that it's actually a little bit more mobile. The Thors are very beefy units, and they're not mobile in that they move around quickly, but they can soak up a lot of damage while your tanks siege up. So it's not the style of mech like in Brood War where you want to sit in one place that makes you comfortable. Yes, that works in StarCraft 2, yes, that works in StarCraft 2 similar to Brood War, but if you have a scouting Hellion or a scouting SCV in front of your army and you're quick on your sieges, mech in StarCraft 2 feels, at least to myself, a lot more mobile than it did in Brood War.
And we do have NesTea going to be grabbing his expansion here once again before spawning pool. Just based on the size of the map, I think this is a really good choice because there's a high possibility that GoOdy would be grabbing his expansion extremely early as well. However, GoOdy is once again doing that wall-in. He seems to really like supply depot / barrack wall-ins, and also dropping the factory right here. Interestingly enough, this will be scouted the second that a drone arrives at that location. You can see a little drone skirmish in the center of the map as that SCV was looking to set up a bunker, although this drone is going to run into this Marine. Not going to lose that drone, though. NesTea wisely microing that back right now. So if NesTea is ever able to scout out, though, he could see, well, potential for mech play once again. I'm curious to see if GoOdy is going to do that or not, because, I mean, he's already shown it both games, essentially. But for now, it looks like the attack is going to commence. A couple of Zerglings have already spawned, which will prompt GoOdy to kind of head back home.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see how GoOdy is going to follow this up. He does have only one geyser, dropping a 2nd factory, so he may be going just straight up Hellions, no upgrades. Making the 2nd refinery now. So he's got 2 factory, Hellions coming out of the 1st one, no add-ons, 2nd factory being made, no expansion on the way, not a whole lot of SCVs, not a whole lot of income, no 2nd base coming. So this is a little bit strange for me. He could be going 1 base Hellion Marine yet again, but with 2 factories, which this may not be the map to do that. He has to travel a long distance all the way across this map, and it looks like indeed that's not what he's going to be doing, adding on the tech lab. So I'm really interested to see how he follows this up.
It's kind of interesting to me that he would add the tech lab onto the one building that is at his choke rather than the one that's at his base, just because, number one, it reveals what add-on you have. It also reveals what upgrade you're getting, and if you get attacked, that add-on can be harassed and destroyed. So, and if you ever have to lift off, it kind of leaves that building behind. So I'm not quite sure why he did that. It does make his wall-in just a little bit more powerful. And the Hellion now, though, is going to be harassing over here. The Queen intercepts it perfectly, does not lose that creep tumor. Losing an early creep tumor is devastating to Zerg simply because it does cost that 25 energy to produce that, although I believe we have 3 queens. Yes, 3 total queens and an Evo chamber, but look at this, early siege tech on the way, as well as that siege tank. And so yeah, I guess he's going to be going for, it looks like, at least Marine siege tank and some Hellions mixed in. Is he going to hit a timing, or is he going to use this to expand? I'm guessing since he's continuing to produce from this factory, he wants to do damage here in the early stages of the game.
Yeah, it looks like he's continuing to, he's now producing tanks, getting siege mode. I don't think he has any plan to expand. You know what I think he's doing? See how he's floating this barracks out? I believe he's going to float that over to NesTea's natural, siege it from the low ground. Here come a few Zerglings trying to run in. Those are going to be dealt with by the Hellions and Marines and tanks, but NesTea gets a good idea of what's coming. This position just southwest of NesTea's natural, just down from the cliff. Goody wants to get snugged right in there against the cliff, siege up, and just rain terror down on that hatchery.
Yeah, one thing about some StarCraft 2 maps is that your natural is very vulnerable to siege tank attacks, and that's something that we don't see as much in StarCraft 2. We could see it utilized, though, in this game. We also have the Infernal Pre-Igniter on the way. Baneling Nest about a third of the way done for NesTea, and I just want to mention that NesTea really gave away 6 Zerglings just to scout what the army is. We actually have a bunker going down, so you're absolutely right, Chill. He is going to be setting up near this cliff. A second SCV is here as well to build things, and so this could be really difficult for NesTea to deal with. He's trying to make a lot of Zerglings. We'll probably have to break this with just Banelings, as I don't see a Roach Warren anywhere unless I'm completely blind. But this could be so frustrating to deal with. That Spine Crawler going to go down immediately, and as you can see, the drone's forced to transfer away right now.
And NesTea catching a siege tank that was reinforcing. Genius play by him as he goes to move in. There's no more barracks defending Goody's main base. There's a bunch of Speedlings in his main base. Gonna move straight over towards the supply line. Gonna take out a few SCVs before running away. The Hellion does not have blue flame there, so not able to deal that much damage to the... oh my god, so many SCVs going down. Goody needs to continue with this push. He needs to continue attacking. Yes, he cleaned up that attack, but he lost so many SCVs in that attack. He really needs to break this natural, or there's not going to be a whole lot of hope for him. Meanwhile, production tab showing only Zerglings, as NesTea trying to stall until he gets a Roach Warren up. 2 Spine Crawlers trying to move forward, but those are going to get picked up so quickly. Transfusion going down on one of them. First one getting taken out. Second one still under siege, and that is probably going to get taken out too. So good idea to stall for time there, but unsuccessful.
And there are Zerglings now moving out in the center of the map as well. He's going to try and hit another counterattack here. It may be successful, as Goody did not learn his lesson, did not finish up that wall. And now so here comes the Zerglings. At the same time, though, the hatchery is still being bombarded here this entire time. And these Zerglings are now in the main base. So the Hellions do have the blue flame, but they get completely surrounded. Goody not keeping an eye on his Hellions. Every single Hellion is going to go down. That is a huge deal, as he could have easily killed off these Zerglings with those 4 Hellions. He does have one in his mineral line. Again, though, not able to guard it as well as he should. And more SCVs going down. This last Hellion getting surrounded as well. So he really needs to do a lot of damage here, but at the same time, NesTea tried to break out on the right side. He is going to lose this hatchery, though. However, he has streamed more Zerglings down here. There's really only 1 Hellion here remaining to defend. Not even enough money to continue producing Hellions at the full rate. All the Hellions pulled back, though, to clean this up, and his expansion is nearly completed here, though, so if he can finish it, he will be an expansion up. But he has suffered so much loss as far as the worker count. Look at the units tab, 11 SCVs to 29 drones. That means his main base isn't even nearly fully saturated.
And what do you do if you're Goody? There's roaches out, so you want to pull back and go home. But if you pull back and go home, you know Zerg is just going to throw up their natural yet again, re-drone it, and you're going to be way behind anyway. So a really awkward position. Meanwhile, he's stuck in no man's land. He's got a handful of Marines, 1 Blue Flame Hellion, and 2 siege tanks. That can easily be crushed by a roach heavy based army. It can be attacked from the high ground. A really strange position for Goody. Meanwhile, counterattack coming, few roaches, and there's only Blue Flame Hellions left to defend. Production showing 1 tank and 1 Hellion. This is not a good scene for Goody to be in.
Yeah, I mean, right now Goody is up an expansion, but there's no one mining there, and once the expansion finishes for NesTea, he'll be just fine. Looks like another attack from NesTea. Now, if NesTea loses this will give Goody a little bit of time, and it looks like this may be enough to hold off here, especially with the reinforcing units from Goody going to be running all the way back from the main base. Should be able to clean this up. Don't think he'll lose this command center. May force a lift off, but that is going to be it. Some splash damage from that siege tank, actually doing more damage to his Hellions than to the Zerg player, but it looks like Goody will hold this. But he is so far behind in the worker count, I don't know what he can do. The barracks scouting the entire right side of NesTea's base, so he knows exactly what's on the way. But again, NesTea, I'm actually surprised how many attacking units he's making. He just wants to end this right now instead of double expanding or anything like that. And we'll see if he can, although he does have enough money to follow this up with an expansion. I feel like Goody is in such a bad shape, or such a bad spot, it's going to be difficult to come back at all.
You know, Goody has a few Blue Flame Hellions. I would leave it in the hands of Lady Luck. I would bring these Hellions into the main base, run by, attack the drones, hope you kill a bunch of drones, because the Hellions aren't going to do that much to help defend. There's not that many Speedlings coming. Actually, there are quite a few Speedlings, but the Speedlings aren't the problem. It's the roaches. It looks like he's moving out with a few Hellions, going to leave just 2 behind to try to defend against Speedlings. Here comes 1 Speedling just going to check and looks like NesTea doesn't want to deal with that. A few Hellions moving in the main base. I like this decision by GoOdy. He can probably get a lot of drones. Going to throw up the production tab, and it shows there's no real units on the way, just buildings. GoOdy needs to get in there and start harassing.
Yeah, and these drones are extremely vulnerable. Just the one queen here to defend. She cannot kill these Hellions fast enough. So here comes the attack right now. There is enough Hellions here to easily one-shot these drones. 3 drones are going to go down. The drones try and transfer out of there, but deciding to turn around and attack. Very indecisive here. 2 more transferring drones are going to get intercepted. Just keep an eye on the units tab here. If he can even out the worker count, this may be a huge deal. NesTea scrambling his units back here to try and defend as he lost nearly every drone. I think he did actually lose every drone, as I mentioned. Sniping 2 drones at the last second there that were trying to get away. So NesTea now just basically is mining off of one base again. And so that's exactly what he needs to do. The worker counts are nearly identical, but NesTea, if he decides to make a lot of drones, which he is, he should be able to get back a nice worker advantage. But again, at least GoOdy is doing things to buy himself a little bit of time, and that is going to make NesTea kind of question on if he has enough now to actually move out and finish the game right now.
You know, I want to emphasize how important that last attack was, because before that, GoOdy was down about 10 harvesters in the range of like 18 versus 28. Now it's 40 drones versus 32 SCVs, which is still a big deal, but GoOdy has mules. He's reestablished a 3rd factory. He's getting +1 on his armory. He's got a Thor on the way. He's reestablished a siege position. If he can defensively take his 3rd base and continue to harass with Blue Flame Hellions, he can get back into this game, even against a professional gamer like NesTea, and that's what we're seeing so far. He needs to keep risking with Blue Flame Hellions. They're not that expensive, and the damage potential is so high. But look at NesTea with his genius defense. He's already got roaches set up in a line. Those Hellions getting completely denied, and that was beautiful.
Did not even use a Baneling to deal with that, able to just defend perfectly, taking no losses whatsoever. And so again, every unit that NesTea has is vital just because he's lost so much. The supply counts do show 92 for Zerg, 91 for the Terran player, but again, GoOdy has just been making drones this entire time. He knows that if GoOdy tries to move out, he'll have enough to surround it and completely destroy it. So NesTea, once again showing his star sense here, has just been droning up. He is now making some roaches there though. But essentially, it's 12 drones ahead of GoOdy, and GoOdy is almost fully saturated at his natural now, but I mean, we're at almost 17, 18 minutes into this game, and that is definitely going to be delayed here. So I think, once again, he's just going to sit back, try and max out his army, and take his 3rd before moving out. But again, this is NesTea's game, because this is the point where he can just mass expand everywhere if he wants to.
GoOdy out on the map yet again with, looks like 6 Blue Flame Hellions, +1. Just completing for it as we speak. NesTea taking his 4th base at the 12 o'clock. NesTea in a very, very nice position, and one of the downsides of GoOdy's style is that he has to prepare for threats that aren't even coming. There's no Spire on the way, but he's forced to make a lot of Thors and a lot of turrets, and that's just what happens when you give up map control and don't pressure your opponent. He can't know what's coming, so he has to prepare for everything. Mech is very strong defensively when you play like that, but unfortunately, you end up investing resources that you didn't need to waste in turrets and in Thors, which would rather be spent on siege tanks when you're facing a roachling army like NesTea. Now trying to get lucky with Phalanx. Oh my god! Gets so lucky with Phalanx, hitting all the Hellions. Now running forward. He does not need to continue the attack, so he retreats. But very, very nice, and I would argue lucky move there by NesTea.
GoOdy just distract there for a second, loses every single Hellion, which you want that to absorb not only the Banelings later on, but of course to kill the massive amount of Zerglings, and also to force the Roaches to attack that rather than the more vulnerable Thors. But it looks like GoOdy is going to move out here. I don't know that he's going to be able to do the damage he needs, just judging by the macro style of NesTea, since he made so many drones that entire time. I mean, look at NesTea's army right outside the choke. That is a lot of Roaches, a lot of Banelings on the way as well. Right between the 2nd and 3rd base, you can see a lot of Banelings morphing in. And after losing all those Hellions, I don't think that GoOdy's timing window is going to be anywhere near as powerful as he would like. He does have a nice split here, but NesTea, once he decides to engage this, I think it will definitely favor him in that battle.
Here we go, Roaches and Banelings moving forward. Banelings deciding not to move in. NesTea taking a lot of unnecessary damage here, and here's the thing about losing all those Hellions. You would think you don't need Hellions against a Roach army when you're playing mech, but you actually do, because they soak up the damage of the Roaches and they create a blockade. If the Roaches try to push forward, the Hellions are in the way to stop them from moving forward, and they eat so many extra tank shots that way. By losing all the Hellions, he's lost that potential, but looks like that's not even important to NesTea, as he's completely going for a counterattack. Looks like GoOdy is a little bit aware of it, having some pre-siege tanks, but I don't think he can defend all these units streaming into his natural. He's trying to throw up a makeshift wall. Is it going to get up in time?
No, it does get taken out there by those banelings. Now the Roaches have arrived. They are going to take a lot of splash damage because they're clumped up on that choke. I do think it's enough here. Here come the SCVs to hold the line. Keep in mind the battle is commencing at NesTea's base as well. Don't know if it's going to do as much damage as it needs to. It's got to come down to, can these Roaches break into Goody's base? And it looks like they absolutely will be. Easily going to be destroying that shanty wall he had on the way. Goody losing so many SCVs once again. So it's got to basically come down to, can NesTea clean up this last remaining army? I think he will be able to, as there's no Banshees, nothing in the main base of Goody to defend against these Hellions. And so right now, NesTea, since he has so many drones, he just needs to be producing Roaches this whole time and slowly whittle down this army. He is doing just that. The main base of Goody is pretty much as good as dead. So it's got to come down to, can NesTea destroy the remainder of this army between his second and third? Although he has lost his second hatchery right now, but again, Zerg players can just mass expand everywhere and keep the Terran spread out, trying to kill it. But Goody's base, I mean, it's gone.
I don't know, Husky. I don't think this is over because Goody has ridiculous position on NesTea. NesTea has nothing producing but a bunch of Roaches. I don't think he can break out of his main base. You can see he's grouping a bunch of Roaches by his main base extractor. His main base is completely mined out. He's going to lose his third base. After that, it's just a hop and a skip over to 12 o'clock, where Goody can easily take that base out. If he leaves the majority of his units to defend the choke point, I'm not entirely convinced that NesTea can break out of that. Meanwhile, a lot of damage being done still in Goody's main base. He's forced to move his siege tanks over there. His income is basically zero, but he's really trying not to lose too much against these Roaches. Roaches doing their full potential harassment. Now Bethor is trying to move over. He scans, and he's well aware of what's going on at 12 o'clock. A lot of income potential, but there's only a few Roaches. Oh my god, he gives up the contain. I think that was a huge mistake.
If he can lock down this expansion on the left side, that is the only income for NesTea right now. NesTea is not mining from a single location, so it is going to come down to, can he actually kill this expansion? There is a lot of Roaches here. NesTea has many more Roaches than his main as well. Can he save this hatchery time? Drones getting pulled off the line. The siege tanks are not sieged though, so some of them are, but not all of them. A lot of the drones are going to get taken out here. Can NesTea hold? Here comes the flank attack with all these Roaches. It does look like NesTea will just barely hold off here, as the siege tanks are now completely vulnerable. Even one Viking on the ground. Actually, NesTea is going to win this battle. It doesn't quite look like it. And
wow!
NesTea, if you look at the units tab, is definitely at 9 drones. How did Goody just do that? And basically, NesTea is mining from nowhere right now.
Yeah, it's over. It's over. Goody has defended his main successfully. You can see he's dropping mules. He's reestablishing his economy, building SCVs. NesTea is mining with 2 drones at a hatchery, which is completely under siege. He's defending the counterattack with siege tanks. NesTea is donating Roaches. NesTea is nothing. His supply is 12. Oh my god, he did it.
I honestly thought Goody was left for dead. I guess I shouldn't have called it that early, but he held off perfectly at I think a lot of Terran players would have probably just given up there, but then he realized, wait, NesTea is mined out in his main. There's no natural hatchery remaining. I've already killed the third base. All he has is one base of all of his drones, and there's going to be the GG. NesTea gets knocked out of the tournament as well. I 100% did not expect this at all. Even about 95% of the way through this replay, I thought for sure that NesTea had it. So talk about an amazing showmanship here from all the foreigners outside of Korea. I don't know if there's going to be another tweet from MC, but this is absolutely insane. And everyone who did their little betting is probably just facepalming so hard. And wow, I cannot believe he just took out NesTea.
Yeah, I don't have the stats up, but I seem to remember, correct me if I'm wrong, it was something like 95% in favor of NesTea, and I certainly thought NesTea was going to be able to handle Goody. So someone, I remember reading a specific post on TeamLiquid.net, somebody saying NesTea is not going to be able to handle Goody's style. Goody is going to take it, and that's the only pro-Goody post I ever remember reading. So shout out to that guy, because you look like a genius right now, one among about 10, and all 3 Koreans, all 3 champions, falling at the hand of foreigners, or at the hands of foreigners. So I gotta say congratulations to those guys, because that is a sick performance.
Absolutely. So we have someone, I believe, what is it, from France, America, and Germany, all advancing. All 3 Koreans eliminated, which is just insane, because if you think about the IEM, I mean, there was only 4 or 5 Koreans in that tournament, and they took first, second, and third in that tournament, which to me is very impressive that foreigners, aren't getting discouraged and are playing just as well as the Koreans in these games. And I mean, the map pool is the standard stuff you see in Korea. Even Tall Dream Alter heavily played, and so there's really no advantage because all these games are played on the American servers if they can't agree, to play on a different server. So that is amazing, even playing field. And maybe the Koreans got overconfident. Maybe they weren't taking the tournament as seriously as, say, the GSL or something like that. But so few Koreans are actually advancing in this tournament that, I mean, there may be no Koreans left when it's all said and done after the round of 16. So I am amazed. I know that my bets were completely off, so I did not predict this at all, Chill.
Yeah, it might be MC versus the world. And I know when all the players were announced, it was like, Korea's going to take this. But I think we proved today this is not Brood War. And the foreigners came prepared for the TSL3, let me tell you. And now we're going to be moving on to our foreigner main event. This is the match I've been looking forward to all day. ZVP, my favorite matchup with one of my favorite Zerg players. It's going to be Liquid Ret taking on Dignitas Naniwa. I know they've had some less than friendly words on the forum, and that just makes this final match that much sweeter.
Yes, an absolute epic conclusion to today's games. Remember, the games can be found later on Team Liquid Net, which is on YouTube. So it's just youtube.com/TeamLiquidNet. There's also a Twitter there, so if you forget to that the games, when they are or whatever, you can have the Twitter there linked to your phone. That's what I do. That's what all the cool people do. And so, yeah, definitely go check out that. Again, it is going to be Ret versus Naniwa, which is going to be awesome. Protoss versus Zerg. We've seen every single matchup today, which is a nice little balance. I mean, every single non-mirror matchup. So, again, I really don't know what to expect in this game. I know that my fans absolutely love Ret, and we'll see if Naniwa will be able to defeat him. So I am freaking out. I can't believe every time I cast a game how it ends up. I'm done predicting games, I think, because I can't do it.
Okay, so, well, let's go ahead. Let's slow it down, Husky. Let's introduce the matchup. It's going to be ZVP, as we said. Game 1 on Teldream Alter. Teldream hitting a lot of randomness here. It's in every match. Game 2 going to be on Metalopolis. Game 3, if necessary, going to be on Shakura's Plateau. We have Dignitas Naniwa, who used to be Empire Naniwa, recently switched over and said in his interview he'll always remember Empire for giving him a chance when others wouldn't. He had that controversial manner issue from receiving penalty points from EPS and IM for not showing up, among other things. But then qualified for TSL, he's kind of had a rebirth, I feel. I always thought Naniwa was kind of a dick, but as I've seen him go through interviews, go through posting and releasing replays, I've kind of become a fan of his style. He's going to be taking on kind of a fan favorite, Liquid Ret, the Dutch Zerg guy who loves to make drones. I mean, there's one thing Ret can do, it's make a lot of drones. I've never seen anyone max out in a professional game as fast as Ret. It's just sick. So if you let him rolling, he's like that snowball that's going to avalanche. You don't want to be under Mount Ret if you've let him start that drone avalanche. And that's all I got. I mean, I'm sure our viewers are just going ecstatic waiting for series number 4 here.
Yeah, I just want to mention one more thing about Ret is he's actually moved to Korea before too. He used to play on the team Eastro for Brood War right before the StarCraft 2 beta was announced, and then he also moved there to compete in a GSL, and he made it to the round of 32 and was in Code A, but then decided to move back to Europe after dropping out of Code A. So he has had some level of success in the GSL. It's not hard to even qualify for that. Not everyone is able to get in, and so that is definitely no small feat at all. Plus, of course, he is on Team Liquid, so a lot of the people from Team Liquid going to be cheering for him. And I feel like Ret is someone who a lot of people love, and they just want him to do well in a major tournament like this. So I think there's going to be a lot of fans out there, especially from the Netherlands, cheering on their favorite Zerg player. And the main thing is that he does love that macro style of play. I've seen him be punished painfully and just relentlessly for it, and I've also seen him destroy people because they let him go unchecked. So I think that'll be a major focus here. And at Protoss versus Zerg, that is the perfect way to end, I think, this series today. And that is also all I have. So I think we're going to go ahead and go to a commercial break. And then we are going to jump into the last series for today. I cannot wait. Talk about huge upsets. This last game is just the icing on the cake. And make sure to tune in, same time tomorrow for the next set of matches, which will be cast by, I believe, DJ Wheat and Day 9. So let's go ahead and go to a quick commercial break, and we will be right back.